Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Niggas swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes.
Welcome to From the Seven podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where we always bring a different perspective to the mindsets for the real world. As always, I'm your boy Deuce, always here with my right-hand man Stat. And today, we're going to talk about the uncomfortable truths about being in relationships when you're young. We're going to dive into, as an athlete and also a non-athlete, we're going to get into that, man. Before we get into all that, though, quick announcements.
Yep, guys. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at From the Seven Podcast. We're also on TikTok. You can follow me at StatZay, Deuce at _Deuce West. Make sure you subscribe to the Stat TV YouTube page. That's where all the episodes will be dropping. We got From the Seven merch on the way still. I know y'all waiting on it, but it's on the way, I promise. We got Stat merch at the link in my bio. We appreciate all the love and support, man. I know we say this every time, but it really means a lot to us, man, and all the people that's been reaching out and getting value from what we're doing. This is something that's very important to us, so the fact that it's reaching other people is really dope. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers for us to continue to do this and to continue to add value. Make sure you share it with a friend, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. But again, all the links will be below for you to tap in with us. It's going to be a good episode, man, and this is something that we talk about off the camera, and we always get excited about things that we can bring in front of the camera that we talk about on a daily basis. So I know you guys are going to get a lot from this, but yeah, man, let's go ahead and get into it.
Hey, man, this is a very touchy topic, man, because when you're young, you don't listen. When you're older, you wish you can go back, and that's one thing you can't do is go back.
Facts.
So the topic at hand, man, it's very difficult to digest, and we're doing this because hopefully we can reach somebody that can avoid that, somebody that's young that can avoid that could be going through a situation right now. So let's get right.
When we say young, we're talking like 35 and younger. So I would consider that, especially a lot of our viewers are men. I'd say 35 and younger. If you're a female watching this, I'd probably put that number a little lower, but 35 and under is who we talking about when we say young. So not just the kids, you know what I mean?
Yep. But I want to start at the kid level, man. I want to start in high school, bro. You actually had a situation too, as far as your girlfriend at the time was upset that you was working out a lot. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, for a lot of y'all that know me personally, I've only had 2 relationships in my life, and one was in school from about middle school up until like college. And when I first made the Meadowbrook team, it was a different ball game. Like, especially on Mondays. If you knew Mondays, that was our longest days. We had study hall with practice, and we had school and everything else that came with that. So I just remember being super busy, and I loved basketball, so it wasn't a thing for me, but it didn't really hit me how busy I was until my girlfriend at the time, she ended up making a remark like, you're always at practice and you don't have enough time for me. And as a young kid, the culture that we grew up in and just being a guy, it's a lot of peer pressure. Like, the social currency is, how many girls do you have? Or are you having sex? Like, that type of stuff. So the first thing that went through my mind was just like, dang, like, I'm kind of messing myself up by being this busy. But at the same time, I didn't really want to compromise too much because I loved basketball. So I was really conflicted when that happened, but it really woke me up. And, those are the types of things at a young age that really affect you and your decision making.
Absolutely.
A lot of the decisions that you make blindly because you're not thinking about like what it's actually doing to you.
Yep. And really, us being young and naive, you don't even understand that, because we're talking about high school now.
Yeah.
Right. Every relationship you get into, you think is going to go the distance. That's why people get into relationships. It's not like, some people could just be like.
With that, I'm glad you said that because I think about that a lot, right? And I think we only think it's going to go the distance because we're always taught to like happy wife, happy life. And like, we're basically chasing the girl. And I think as guys, like, biology is like, we want that one thing, and that's across the board. I don't care how young you are. When you start dealing with women, like, that's how guys look at it. But we understand the game of like chasing the girl and telling her what you want to hear. So I wouldn't even say like, yeah, once you get into a relationship, you think it's going to go the distance, but it's really because when you trying to deal with the girl to get what you want, all of her rebuttal is about, well, you need to take me serious. You need to do this. You need to do that. And you just thinking, well, for me to get what I want, I got to give her what she wants. So I'm gonna play that game.
But I mean, putting it like that, I don't disagree with you. I think that makes it worse though.
That's what I'm saying. It definitely makes it worse.
Because what I was going to say was, you got a under 5% chance that your high school sweetheart is going to be the one that goes the distance with you.
Yeah.
It's a very, very low percentage. So while doing that, I don't know if, I'm not saying that I'm like everybody else, but when I'm in a relationship, I put myself second, right? I put myself second to make sure, like you said, happy wife, happy life, but that's not your wife at that time. But that's what you're taught as a man. Like, make sure your girl's straight.
You're treating her like that's your wife.
Make sure your girl's straight.
That's what everybody tell you.
And so I had a girlfriend every year in high school. Unfortunately, looking back on it now.
I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but I want you to, for the people watching, when you say there's less than a 5% chance of the girl going the distance, like, speak a little more on that. Because I want people to understand what that really means.
So we talk about self-awareness a lot.
Yeah.
We talk about accountability a lot. There's not, I'm gonna just put a number on it, bro. There's probably a 1% high schooler that knows exactly who they are at that moment. Yeah. Like you haven't even found out who you are yet because you haven't, I'm not gonna say been through anything significant, but you haven't been through life. You've only walked middle school halls and now you walk in a high school hall. Like, you don't know who you are. Like, that takes time. It does take time to identify who you are, what you want. So by doing that though, when you have somebody else and you put yourself second, you're prolonging all that self-awareness that we always talk about. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to touch on with my situations was I put myself second all through high school, right? And one year I decided not to do that. Let's just say this was my 11th grade girlfriend. I didn't do that, and I was, I felt bad because she was always upset, like you said, like, why you always hanging with your friends or why you always going to the gym? So I felt bad, and she ended up leaving me. And I said, okay, I don't want this to happen to me again. So now I'm going to go back to that second place type of situation. Mm-hmm. And what that does is, again, it prolongs everything that you stand for because at the end of the day, we all were hoopers, right? Mm-hmm. Not everybody that's watching, but even if you're not a hooper, if you have something that you're going for, you have a goal, putting yourself second is going to prolong that. And sometimes it even changes because your situation may change. Yeah. As a guy, like, how many people do you know and I know, we both know that had babies in high school or been through something that really put them in a situation because of a girl in high school. Whole life changed already. So your goals have to change. They don't have to, but 9 times out of 10, where we from, those goals change for people.
Not for sure.
How many people have we talked to in the gym that's like, man, I was this, I was doing that, and then messed around, got, had a kid and had to slow down. Like, it's unfortunate, and the time you can't get back, right? So, for example, all those girlfriends I had were great girls, right? None of them are here today. Can I get that time back? No. So imagine all the time that I sacrificed not being in the gym to make them happy. I can't get that time back. Yeah. So now when I complain about me not being the best basketball player I think I can be, it results because I put basketball second because I wanted to make sure my girl was happy, who's not even meant to go the distance with me. Yeah. It's foolish. It's really a bad deal for sure. Like,
no, it is.
And then, say for example, this happens all the time. Young guys especially. Like you said, going back to what you said about making sure you say the right things and make her feel like whatever you got to do to get what you want, you're going to say it, right? Yeah. When you decide that it's something else that may be, that may catch your eye, and you get caught up with that, you ruin that girl. Yep. You ruin her. Now the next dude got to make up for what you did, and now she's ruined, and some people don't make it out of that. Girls and boys.
That by 20, I guess everybody you around, all your friends, everybody doing the same thing.
Everybody's doing the same thing, but you're expected, unfortunately, to make man decisions as a boy. I said that on a podcast.
Big facts.
You're expected to make man decisions. So when a dude slips up and messes up, and he's a boy, he's a child, he's looked at and held to the standard of a man.
And that's the world we live in.
And it's the uncomfortable truth, because I see a lot of young dudes now with girls, and I see the digression of grind because they have a girl. Like, dog, it's sickening almost, because I see myself and I'm like, yo, what? And what they have is stuff that we didn't have. So the advantages to make it, to really become a professional, is way easier than what we had. But they're still making the same mistakes that we made. Yep. So if they don't make it because of the same mistakes we made, when they're our age, they're gonna be like, what the heck?
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the uncomfortable truth about it, bro. But I do want to ask you a question. Say, for example, of course we can't do this, but say we can go back. All right. Knowing what you know now, in high school, would having a girl even be a thought?
Nah, I wouldn't do it. And let me explain why. And I'm laughing because like you said, man, when you look back, it's so clear now, but you see the young guys now, and it's like, it don't matter what you tell them, they're not listening to that. They ain't trying to hear that. And, to add to what you were saying before, you talked about there's less than a 5% chance of that girl going the distance with you. We relate a lot of the stuff we talk about with sports. A lot of people that's watching this play sports, and the percentage of even making it professionally in a sport is smaller than that, right? So I say that to say this: when you are in that space that we're talking about, that we all can relate to, in terms of putting yourself second and putting your focus on a girl and thinking that you're doing the right thing because you want to get what you want, and you get distracted by, I have to do all these things to keep her happy. You take your mind off of your purpose. And as men, we're not taught at a young age that, because the world we live in is really like they preach the Disney fairy tale and like all the stuff where it's like, I mean, men are really second to everything else when you look at what they tell us, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking about this right now. And the value, your worth as a man in the world is based on the value that you bring. And the value you bring to the world as a man is the things that you create. So just off of that alone, when you're dealing with these situations from a sports perspective, you're basically taking away your own value for short-term pleasure, right? Because if you're trying to go to play sports, that's always going to be a long journey. And all the decisions we're talking about right now are short-term decisions, and you're basically making blind decisions to get this short-term pleasure that's taken away from that. And the habit that you build by doing that, I think, is the most unfortunate truth about it, is because we still see guys today that, because they have no purpose, they're making these same decisions. Yeah. And all they get up to do is, well, I'm gonna work so I can buy this and flex and get more girls. Like it still turns into that.
And good point, man. Great point, actually. But the craziest thing, man, about exactly what you just said, man, is what we talk about all the time is self-awareness. Yeah. Again, self-awareness is scary because you have to really sit with yourself.
Yeah.
When you have somebody else, you're not really trying to find out who you are, and you prolong it. And I was a victim of that. Like, I was like, I never wanted to be by myself. Now, was I afraid to face myself? Who knows at that time? I never even got a chance to be with myself because, again, after every year, I had a new girl.
Yeah.
But what happens, man, what really happens is you are deciding to push off your growth, which prolongs your purpose. And I tell young guys now today, or anybody that's watching, if you have a purpose, go find your purpose, reevaluate when you achieve that purpose.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to make your life so much easier.
And I wouldn't even say reevaluate your purpose. Like,
no. Reevaluate who you want in your life once you reach that purpose.
Right. And to add to that, because what I wanted to say is that because we talked about this on the live last night, and we talk about this when we talk about self-awareness in general. When you become self-aware and you hold yourself accountable to that, you automatically going to lose some people, and you got to be okay with that. It's the same thing that we're talking about when we're talking about being in a relationship when you're young. A lot of times, because we're not self-aware, we make decisions, and like you said, it might hurt that girl, and all we're thinking about is, dang, I'm a bad dude because the world is telling me I'm a bad dude because she's not happy, because we're looking at movies of grown people doing things and we're feeling like we have to make those decisions that we're young. Instead, we got to understand that self-awareness piece, and as men understand, I got to use these young years to grind it out, because in the grand scheme of things, being young and having no money and no purpose is going to allow me to be in a situation where I don't get the girl I want at the end of the day. And the girl that I have right now, once she starts to realize that as we get older, I'm not going to be able to she's not going to even see me anymore as a candidate, right? So it's like you have to change your mindset to being self-aware in your life, not just for girls, but if we're talking about relationships, understand that I am looking for a team player. I talked about this in my origin story. My dad didn't have a team player, and what that means is when we're talking basketball, go work out, go hang out with your friends, go do all the things that builds your purpose and that feeds your fire, and let however it's gonna go, because if you do meet a girl that might understand what it's like to add value to your life as a man, that's going to change the game. And she still might not go the distance with you, but if you decide to look for that first and you find that at that early age, you at least say, you know what, I can still focus on me and this girl supports it. Now, 9 times out of 10, what we're talking about and what we've seen, it doesn't happen like that. And that's why when you ask me the question, I say I wouldn't have a relationship, because at that time, when you're talking about women, a lot of women even today at our age don't even understand what men want and how we think, because they never had to care. And it's at a point now where they're shitting on men because we are basically saying, like, you need to know how men think because the game has changed and they won't even accept it now. So understanding that, you got to approach it with that mindset of, I'm self-aware about this is the life that I want to choose. And like you said, there's always a small group of guys when we're talking like basketball that do that, and what do they get clowned on? Dang, bro, you always in the gym, you ain't got no girls, da. And then those be the dudes that end up winning in life, and then them dudes that's chasing girls that was clowning on them, they down bad in 10 years, and they regretting everything that they said. So like, we see that so much, and that's kind of a point that I wanted to add on that, because that's very important.
Yeah, and it's funny now, but at the time it's not funny.
No.
When when your girl breaks up with you, or y'all are done in high school, bro, I can vividly remember times where, and shout out JR, bro, because I know if he's watching this, he's gonna laugh. Bro, you're sick.
You sick, bro.
You can't eat. I remember asking this man one time. He was sick one time. I was like, bro, you good, bro? He's like, nah, bro, I'm not. You want something to eat? Nah, bro, I'm good. So you want this ice? He said, bro, I can't even eat the ice, bro. He said, bro, I'm sick, bro. I can't even got to get a bag of chips, bro. And it's crazy because when you look at that, man, again, being young, we are so kind of naive about relationships, just because, again, you can't be in a relationship if you don't know who you are. And we all step into a relationship when we're that young and don't know who we are, but we expect to know everything about this person and what this person like and all this stuff. And then when it's over, you sick and you hurting. Like, I remember, like, I don't want to leave the house, bro. Like, I don't want to do nothing. And that person wasn't even supposed to go the distance with you. So why are you that upset?
Put way too much energy.
You put way too much
situation.
energy into it. Now, if I can go back and look, say, for example, I was not able to take back the relationships. I would have taken back how I handled them afterwards, because of the fact that now I say, all right, let me get my notepad out. What did I learn from this? All right, what is something that I can improve on? Yep. If I would have did that, I would have probably stopped at the second relationship, because then it's like the key thing I would have circled was, who are you?
No, facts.
Like, who are you? And that's the unfortunate reality is, you got to know who you are first before you decide to even give yourself away. Because how you going to give yourself away if you don't have yourself to give?
Facts.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. And then the older you get, those guys, those old heads at the gym that used to try to tell us, y'all don't know nothing. Hell no, this is my girl. Like, what? And they'll laugh at us. They're like, what? Your girlfriend.
Because they already know.
They already know. And they like, all right, we're going to kind of let you just go ahead and trip over your own shoestrings, fall on your face. But I make all those points to say that you really got to take your time and get to know yourself first, and it's okay. It feels like it's a crime to want to do that. Yeah. Like, it feels like,
especially as a man. I mean, it comes off as that, like, when you do what's best for you, it makes you treat everyone else different, and men are seen as like, you always just supposed to work and give it away. Work, give it away. You work to help other people. You work to take care of your family. You work to do all these things. So when you say, I'm going to do what's best for me, especially at that age, a lot of people don't understand what that look like, because that game again, it's like you're trying to get the girl, because the guys who have the most girls are the most popular, right? Yeah. And like all of that stuff, and it's just like,
I definitely would say it's a lot of peer pressure, especially when we was coming up.
Absolutely.
You know, being at Meadowbrook, bro, I can only imagine going through high school without having a girl, how my peers would have. Because again, that's a topic of discussion all the time.
You would be an outcast in a certain respect.
Yeah, for sure. But how would they handle it? Like you said, they probably would have tried to clown and probably would have tried to joke.
Yep.
And goes back to self-awareness as well. If I'm more self-aware at that time, I don't really care. But who's really self-aware at that time?
It's very hard to be self-aware when you're in that environment.
That could have. I mean, I know a lot of dudes that was affected like that. Like, bro, if you in the hall and somebody joking on you about not getting no girls, that was a big thing.
Oh yeah,
like the girls laughing at you and the dudes laughing.
Like you're seen as being weird at that point.
Yeah, like everybody's laughing at you, but they don't know the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, trying to think of anybody that we know. Yes, shout out my brother Keon and Shalana. Yeah. That's the only high school sweetheart couple I know.
They're still going.
That's the only one I know, right? Is that the only one you know?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I can't really think of.
And I love them. I love them because of that. That is our 1%.
Yeah.
They are an example of that.
They've been going.
You know what I'm saying?
They stuck it out.
Stuck it out, man. And of course, outside looking in, we always gonna think it's perfect. But I'm pretty sure that they had some, rocky patches and moments.
My girlfriend, Adriana, they were best friends, so I was there for a lot of that. It wasn't always perfect. I seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
But
they made it through, and that's why
sure.
That's why it counts as that, our 1%. But again, looking back on it, bro, like I don't even know a lot of. I mean, I know LeBron at that status, at that, he's the highest that he's been with his high school girl. Mm-hmm. Russell Westbrook, his girl was from UCLA, but that's college. It's rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
But I think a good point that you bring up LeBron, and because a lot of people look up when they talk about relationships as well, and they look up to guys like LeBron and they see Savannah and all that, but a lot of people don't want to look at the uncomfortable truth about the situation on both sides, where it's like, one, LeBron didn't marry her until way far into their relationship. He was in the league and all that. I mean, they were definitely in a relationship, no doubt. But I think the when you look underneath that, you look between the lines of that, you got to understand as a man, if you bring value to the world, LeBron James was crowned the king in high school.
Chosen one.
You know what I'm saying? And there's not a lot of LeBron James. No disrespect to Savannah James, but you could find another pretty girl that's going to ride for you if you LeBron James, right? Mm-hmm. And again, no disrespect to her, but the reality is this: when we're talking about relationships and being young, all of those girls that we're talking about that's not going to go the distance with you, it's not hard to find another one that might even be better than that one in terms of a relationship.
Yeah. And
as a guy, if you get on your purpose and be self-aware, we just talked about it. It's hard for us to even name 5 people right now that we know, they actually doing what we was talking about at that age. It's hard to do that. Mm-hmm. So as a man, if you become that one guy to do that, it's hard to find another you. And that's who you are as a man in the world. But the ones that we look at right now are the ones who are successful in business, who are successful in a sport, who are successful in entertainment. They're doing things that 99% of men aren't doing, and they can get any girl that they want. And that's what guys are chasing. But when you're chasing it before you add the value, it's a double-edged sword.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think LeBron James was a perfect example of that because he understood his value. Now, on the opposite side, he understood Savannah James's value in terms of leaving his legacy and everything else. Mm-hmm. But that's what I mean by finding that team player. Yeah. When you become a guy who gets on his purpose and becomes the best version of him, you can demand that respect from the girl that you deal with. Because if we look at all the times that we talk about the girls who are not going to make it the distance when we're at a young age, they don't make it the distance because you don't have that respect from them. They're looking at, oh, well, you was at practice too much and you don't get in the game, so I went over here and talked to this dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's easy for them to leave you. And you, as men, we put everything into relationships because it's hard to get women, And for women, they don't understand that because guys hit on them the minute they hit puberty. So it's like for us, we have to do so much work to even attract women. When we actually find one that we like, we put a lot into that.
Man, I lost, bro. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I think I can say this comfortably. I probably lost 1 million hours, bro. For real. I probably lost 1 million hours of me getting better, me trying to go after my purpose.
Yeah.
And when I look back on it, it does, unfortunately, bro, I try not to live in the past. Like, I try to keep one foot above the other one and keep moving forward. But I can remember vividly, bro, so many times where it's like, yo, I can go to the gym, or do I want to chill with my girl? Do I want to go out to eat with my boys, or do I want to chill with my girl? And I chose my girl 85% of the time. And the uncomfortable truth about it is I wish I didn't, but I was not self-aware. I was not self-aware about myself. I was not self-aware about what I really wanted, and I didn't place my purpose number one. Like, even if you knew, like, you wanted to play basketball, think about where we ranked basketball. And we wanted to do it so bad, though. But think about where we ranked it.
Yep.
Some people put their friends over the game. Some people put their girls over the game. You make every excuse to not play the game, but that's something that you think that you really want
to. Disrespect the game when you do that, because now you're only using the game to get more of the things that you put over it.
You disrespect it, man. And
credit
then,
and all of that.
You know me, and everybody who knows me know I'm a diehard Kobe Bryant fan. Like,
yeah,
that's my guy. And I remember an interview he had, and one thing that he said that he wished he would have done, or he's so happy that, Vanessa and the kids were able to respect his craft, because he missed a lot of family time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kind of very, very sad, because he was trying to catch up for the family time that he missed.
No, for sure.
And, God rest his soul and Gigi's soul, everybody else that was on the helicopter. But he knew the mission, and he wanted to complete it, and he did, and then he had to reevaluate everything once he got that mission completed. But, like, that's a lot of time that he missed family time, and people place that over a lot of higher things, as far as, like, this is what I want to do, but I still got things that I place over it. And that's, I think, where we make the biggest mistake in, is having something that we can see that we want and still not treating it with the same respect, because we'll put things that really honestly doesn't matter at that time, especially when we're younger, over it.
I think, and to understand what we're saying, if you're listening to this and you're wondering what the point is, it's like, we're not sitting here saying that being in a relationship is a bad thing or anything like that, but you have to be self-aware. That's the common denominator here, is become self-aware. And if you're a guy watching this, understand that your value in the world comes from what you create. And like he just talked about with Kobe, yes, he tried to catch up on that family time on the back end, but you got to understand, everything that Kobe was blessed with is because he put his purpose first, and he was able to get that respect in every aspect of his life because of that. And so, we all can relate, being young and being guys and chasing girls, that we're not able to really cash in on that value because we're prioritizing the wrong things. If you have a girlfriend at this time and you're wondering, well, where do I go from here? Just understand, hey, what do I need to do to be more self-aware and be more on my purpose? Let me do those things. Let me also sit down and have a conversation with the girl that I'm dealing with, and if she's on board with that, then we'll see what happens. But I'm not gonna do all these things that's gonna take away from that. And some of those uncomfortable truths about that is, I'm not gonna say, oh, we're getting married. I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm gonna make you my girl and all these things, because then you're putting more pressure on yourself to have to put effort into that and take away from your purpose. And that's what we're trying to say here. So I think, the message here, and even if you're a female in a relationship, I think it's a little bit different. But, if you're looking at being in a relationship with a guy and you're still young, like, understand that guys are built to take care of women. Like, we're going to win so that we can take care of our family and things like that. And so be a team player, be somebody that can come in and add value, be somebody that can come in and say, I want to make you more of who you need to be so that you can win. And be a part of that 5% that's going to go the distance if it's a guy that you truly respect and want to be with, because a lot of guys throw their life away and don't even realize it, because all the things that we're talking about here, and we're left holding the bag, because when you older, it's hard to go back and change those things, you know. So I think that's the message here. And the reason why I even said the age 35 is because, you know, I've been researching and listening and learning more about relationship dynamics and things like that. And one of the things that I wish I understood more was that, like, as a guy, you really shouldn't focus on women until, like, I'm talking like seriously dating women until you're around the age 35 and you're in your purpose and you're making money and you got savings and you're established to be able to bring someone in your life and add to their life and they add to yours, and you can lead that situation. You have to be a leader as a man, and you have to create value. You have to go out here and do things that help others and make impact. That's the value we bring. And so don't rush it. If you're 35 and younger as a man, do not trip on if you have a girl or not. Go out and find your purpose. Go out and make you some money. Go out and impact. Go out and change the world, and you'll get all those things.
Facts, bro. And it was one thing I wanted you to touch on before we wrap it up here. What's the what do you always say, bro? What's the equivalent to somebody that's past their prime as far as female? Is it the 18-year-old male? Do they have like no value at all, basically?
Yeah, so the same way that, and I'm not sure this is what you're talking about, but the same way that, you know, women look at 18-year-olds who live with their mom and don't make money, and they're just kind of like, what can you do for me? That's the way that, you know, as a female, you're looked at. When is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I was trying to get you to explain the part of being 18 as a male, about really you have
no value.
You have no value. So
I don't care what you've done. You have no value as an 18-year-old because you haven't lived enough life to bring value to the world.
So period. I think that was my point, because of the fact that when we were talking about that younger generation of us being in high school, we were talking about even before 18. Yeah. So what are we really trying to expect that we're gonna kind of get? It's just like hitting the lottery. Yeah. You playing the lottery at that point.
No, for sure. And really it come down to motherfuckers just trying to get pussy if we keep it at 100 and we put all of this on the line just because we want some ass and we play the game, and then we get into these situations where now we're required to put all this effort in, and then we're 18 with no value, having to make man decisions, and then you might get a kid out of it, or you might get in a relationship and now you compromising on your goals because you don't want to look like the bad guy.
Yeah, and we know a lot of people. Honest. We know a lot of people, male and female, that base their college decision off of their girls.
Bro, what? That is I mean, I went to college with a dude, we talked about this before. Bro went D1, ended up coming to D3 EMU just because his girl was going there to play a sport. And it's like, I mean, the D3 coach was happy about that, but it's like, yo, let's really analyze that. Like, bro really changed his whole trajectory in basketball, his career, because he wanted to be at school with his girl. And they're not together today. And that's something that, no matter how it looks today for him, I don't even know what he's doing right now, but that's something that's affected his life. And I mean, he's going to have to take accountability for that, but that's what we're talking about here. As a man, you cannot make decisions like that. Yeah. Like, straight up, bro. Like, if you're making a decision based on a girl, you're going backwards. The decision should be made as you. The decision comes from you as a man being the leader, and the woman follows. And if you think I'm lying, do the opposite. You're not going to get the respect from that girl that you think you're going to get. But do the lead like a man and follow your purpose, and you're gonna get exactly what you think you want by chasing the girls and not putting yourself first. I promise you. Like, we've seen it. I'm 30 now. I'm telling you, I've seen it. You've seen it. We still see it.
I still see it. Yeah.
A lot of guys are not following their purpose because they're thinking about all these other things that don't matter, and a lot of it comes down to women, bro. And like, that's, you look at movies, you look at stories of people. A lot of the time, the downfall comes from a woman. You see the most successful guys that they might have been doing something illegal, or they might have been doing something that they were going down the wrong path, and the decisions that they made that made them go backwards was the woman. And again, I'm not sitting here saying women are bad people, but you got to understand, as a man, your purpose comes first. And if you're not surrounding yourself with people that are supporting that, you're going backwards, and it's going to take you down a road that you're going to regret certain things, and you're going to want to get the most valuable asset back that you have in this world, and that's time. And as a young man, from 15 to 35, you need to be understanding that that's the time that I have to build as much value and bring as much value to the world as I can, and everything else follows that.
And I think too, I want to, again, before we get out of here, bro, I want to talk about on the female side as well, because I'm not a female, so I don't really know, but I understand of dating a female. I understand that they put themselves at risk as well when they get into a young relationship, because of the things that you just said about the guy not really being able to be who he's supposed to be or who he is at that point. And then a lot of girls at a young age get very hurt because of that. And
because what can a guy give you other than time? And that's why the only thing that they pressing you on when you're that young is time.
Yep.
Talk to me on the phone.
Yep.
Come spend time with me. Why you want to be with your friends more than you want to be with me? In the reality of it, they probably don't even care that you hanging with your friends. They just more upset that you taking away attention from them.
Yeah, I think you
that's crazy.
Nail in the coffin on that one, because again, my 11th grade girlfriend, keep bringing her up, but that's basically what I couldn't provide was time. Because I didn't have a car. I was young. I was 14, 15. I wasn't driving yet. And we couldn't do anything but kind of sit in the house. And my boys hit me up and they wanted to chill. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hang with my boys. And exactly what you said is the timing piece, because that's really all I couldn't give her anything else. I had to wait till the summer to start working.
And that's when you start working, you spending your $300 check now to go to the movies. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out Commonwealth 20, dog.
Commonwealth 20 got a lot of my money. They still spending money from what we spent.
Commonwealth 20, man. For those of y'all that's from Richmond, dog, that was the spot.
Bruh, I'm telling you.
You saw everybody there.
Commonwealth 20 was like your high school, and everybody else high school is like meeting spot.
Everybody met there, dog. And it was like, that's what you were able to do for your girl. Like, that was the extent of it. We're going to the movies, or you might do a little putt-putt.
You're giving away every resource you have as a young man for a female.
Yep. Check was 362, my boy.
And all you got is 62 to your name.
Probably not even that. Shoot.
Right. 25. And that's for the gas.
But yeah, man, I just think too, man, again, we're not sitting here saying that relationships are horrible, but the key component is for all of this stuff is know exactly what you're getting yourself into. If you're going to take something from it, take it as lessons, learn from them. And, from the female side of it, understand that this dude is a boy. He's a child. He's trying to grow. There will be mistakes. If that's the person that you really want to try and see if that is the person for you, don't let it damage you to the point where it's no return, because that's what usually happens.
Yep.
And then just like I said, for the male side, we sick, and damn, that wasn't even the girl for us. Female side is the same way. That may not be the dude for you, so don't kind of cut it off there and understand it now. It's easy for us to say that now because we've been through it. I hope everybody that's watching, especially the younger people that's watching, if you are in the situation, right, and you just don't, I'm not saying go call your girl and be like, I'm done with you. But really, really sit down and really understand each other's values and what y'all want out of life.
Yeah.
And if those things correlate, man, keep rocking. I ain't gonna say nothing, but the moment you put something else above your purpose that's the moment that you're making the wrong decision.
Facts.
Right. So you really got to sit down and look and see where you rank those things that's important to you. And if you got a purpose, because everybody don't have one, you still figuring it out. But if you got one, especially if you're an athlete, that is your purpose at that point. You're trying to make it to the highest level.
Yeah. Make
it there, reevaluate after.
And if you're not playing sports and you're trying to think about, well, what could my purpose be, as a guy, go create something, go make some money, go figure out how to bring value to the world. Like, that's where all of your focus should go, because not only is that going to help you personally, but it's going to help you learn things about life that you can't learn nowhere else other than doing those things. You can't learn that from chasing women. You can't learn that from playing small. You can't learn that from being mediocre. Go out and build something and create something. And put your time into learning new perspectives and learning new things and learning the world that you live in and the truth about it. And, even if that just means, hey, I want to go to a college that's far away from home just to put myself in an uncomfortable situation to grow and learn, you're going to see a lot of things about the real world that you would have never saw if you stayed in the college at home. And so, like I said, as a guy, you know, a lot of stuff we talk about is related to sports. But if sports is not your thing and you're looking for that next thing, or let's say you're in a position like us where sports is not what you're currently doing, your time is up with that, and you're just kind of going day by day trying to figure it out, it still applies the same way. What is your purpose? What impact do you want to make? Because as a man, your worth in this world is based on the value of what you create and bring to the world that we live in. So figure out what that is first, and surround yourself with people that support that, because you're going to realize real quick that everybody's not going to support it.
Yep.
But you got to understand the people that do leave you, that don't support it, when you really look at the bare bones of what they were bringing to your life, it wasn't really a lot in the first place. You were just rationalizing it because of one or two things that probably won't really add into your life anyway, and you made it okay because it was comfortable. But the people who are in your life, they're going to support you and push you to where you got to go. They're not going to always tell you what you want to hear, but they're always going to support you and push you towards who you need to be, because that's ultimately going to help everything around you and everyone around you. So just keep that in mind, because that's very, very important, man. Like that's something that if you're not doing that, don't even think about doing nothing else with your life. Like you can't do anything else outside of that until you do that first.
Yep.
Period.
My last word, bro, is, you know, understand that the longer you wait, right? Because society is telling us that you got to have a kid by this age, or you need to be serious with somebody by this age, or you need to be married by this age. The longer you wait, the worse it is, as far as now you're 27, 28, and you're trying to find your purpose. But now society telling you, yo, you only got a couple years. You need to have a kid by now. You need to see all these people getting engaged online. You see all this shit. And then your mind's, I need to get, and then you say, fuck my purpose. Let me just get a girl. And then you're 36. Now you're saying, I want to find myself. I want to do my purpose. And now it's too late. Man. It's too late, bro. Because, you know, I always said this, the moment you have a kid, and I know a lot of people don't look at it like this, but the moment you have a kid, for me, is the moment that you got to stop being selfish. I think it's a good and a bad selfish. I think when you have somebody outside of yourself, which is a kid, right? Something that came from you. If you still worry about what do I want, blah, 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 I think that's the bad selfish. Only because that was your decision to bring the kid in the world. Yeah. So you need to make sure you know exactly who you are before that kid comes, because once the kid comes, everything, not everything, but 90% of everything that you think about should be like, how can I give my kid a better life than either what I had, or make sure that they have, if I had a good life coming up, make sure they have equal. So,
I mean, I'm glad you said that real quick, bro, because I think my views on kids is a little bit different, but it kind of supports what you're saying as well, because the way I see it is this: having a kid is a selfish thing. And I don't mean that in the worst way, but having a kid is a selfish act, because they didn't ask to be here. A lot of times, when you have a kid, your main goal is to continue your legacy and basically mold that kid to pass on the things that you want them to know and learn. And so I see a lot of people who have kids that think that that's okay to forget about their purpose. And I understand what you're saying, where it's like, I can't go do these selfish things that only help me. Like if I'm going out and drinking, or if I'm going, like, of course you don't want to do that when you have a kid, but to me it's more important to find your purpose, because if you're not self-aware about who you are, we all notice young kids watch everything that you do. And a lot of times it's been generation to generation. They're like, oh, I want to give my kids what I didn't have. And a lot of times that just means they want to buy them things. No, you need to give them the mindset that you didn't have. And to do that, you have to be self-aware. And you have to understand, because you made a selfish decision to have a kid and continue your legacy, it's your responsibility to put them in the best situation to become self-aware and put a village around them that's going to help them be who they are, not put on what you want them to do, or put on to them that, well, you here and you making it harder for me as an adult, so I'm going to make your life harder. You made that decision. So understand that decision comes with responsibility, and that responsibility is you got to be more of who you are now.
Yep. All
the things we're talking about now have to kick in a lot quicker now, because if not, your kid's going to be exactly who you are. I don't care how much stuff you buy them.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. And I hate seeing so many people that use having a kid as an excuse to just say, I'm going to be mediocre and I'm going to just go get a job because I got to pay for this and I got to pay for that.
Yeah.
Because your kid's going to grow up and be mediocre because they get in that same mindset from you. And I don't care how much you buy from them. You're not giving them the tools that you didn't have now.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
I think, too, where I was going with it, because I agree with you. A lot of times people do say, let me set what I wanted to do to the side now because I have a child. What I think is, where I was going with it was, I take my situation, for example. My mom worked 3 jobs, bro.
Yeah.
To make sure we was okay.
She accepted that responsibility.
My dad works on holidays and his birthday and weird days. Like, he should just chill. That's what I mean by, like, they set their own pride, not even pride. They set everything that they wanted to do to the side for their offspring. Like, if you ask my mom probably right now, she probably would not choose to work 3 jobs. But she accepted that. She stepped up to the plate. So what I mean by, like, if she were to say, you know, I'm just going to work part-time. Just 1 job part-time because I don't feel like doing nothing.
Yeah.
And you got kids, that's the selfish act I'm talking about. Because now you got to really look at it and understand that every decision that you make affects somebody else. When it's just me, bro, I'm out here grinding. You know how hard I'm grinding. It's just me, though.
Yeah.
I can make every decision that I want to make because it's me. If I had a kid, some of those decisions will have to be altered because it's not to say that it's not enough, but it's not enough to raise somebody else, another human being. So that's what I mean by, like, the selfish act of me, when it's somebody else that you got in your corner. Because, shoot, uncomfortable conversation we having, social media, what do we see? People with kids, sometimes newborns. I need a vacation, man. Fuck, I need to get out. That wasn't happening back in the day, bro. Like, I would love to probably call my mom and ask her, like, yo, when did you take your first break? I don't remember her taking us down nowhere and, hey, y'all stand with them for a little bit. I got to go.
But that's the thing that, you know, shout out to your mom. Like, we're both saying the same thing, but to kind of put in perspective a little more of what I'm saying is that your mom, even though the point you made makes sense about your mom, she also is doing what I'm saying because I know your mom. She made the best of that situation. And part of it was working 3 jobs, but the other part of it was I'm gonna work 3 jobs because I'm setting an example for my son. And when I push him to be the best version of who he is, he gonna understand why it's important.
Yep.
And you always talk about that.
I always talk about that.
I respect my mom so much because I saw how hard she worked. Yep. And then when I showed up to the basketball game, even though she was tired as shit from working 3 jobs, she said, no, go out there and do what you got to do because and you knew how important that was because she worked 3 jobs. And
I agree.
And that's we're saying the same thing. Yeah. But I'm looking at that part of it because she didn't say I'm working 3 jobs so I can't make your game and hey, I'm going to let somebody else take you to the game and I'm not going to be there because she understood how much it meant to be there as well. Mm-hmm.
I agree with that 100%. And then when I grew up and my back was against the wall and I had to work 3-4 jobs at once, it wasn't foreign to me. It kicked in because I saw it. I understood the mission.
And she passed those things down. And that's why she understood the assignment. Hey, he ain't gonna have both parents, but I ain't gonna let that stop me from doing the things that he needs to have in his life. And I think a lot of people forget that because it is so hard to even just have a kid and work 3 jobs. That's hard as shit.
Hard.
It's easy to say that's enough.
To have 2.
A lot of people say that's enough. That's not enough because if you're gone all the time and you're making excuses for being in your kid's life because you have to do those things because you had the kid and all of that, that's the issue I'm talking. Because I've seen it, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, bro, I think your mom is a perfect example of that because she made no excuse to make sure that she gave you all the things that she didn't have mentally as well, and this made you the person you are, and that's why we're here today doing this. And I think if you're watching this and you're a parent, you got to understand that because nobody's sitting here saying it's easy to raise a child, but do not use that as an excuse to say I'm not going to push myself to be a better version of me so I can make them who they need to be. Because a perfect example of this, and I'm going to leave it at this, is when I look at guys who make it to the NBA, it's very rare that when they talk about their upbringing that their parents didn't have to sacrifice to help them get there. You very rarely hear a story where a dude was like, man, my mom and dad was never at the games, but I just pushed through and I made it to the NBA anyway. No, they had people that supported them and did the things that like your mom did and all of that. And I see a lot of people who have kids and they don't put that same effort into their kids because it is so hard to just work all the jobs and deal with life and have kids. And they use that as an excuse to say that's just enough because it's so hard. And to me, that's a cop out. And you shouldn't do that if you have kids because you made that decision.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and close this out, man. I think that was a great episode.
Yeah.
I got a lot of value from it.
For sure.
You know, and we talk about this all the time, but, you know, I got a lot of value from it. And if you're watching and you did, like the video, man, subscribe, send it to somebody who need to hear it.
Yeah.
Really, because, you know, that's what we do this for, man. We're just trying to pass the message because the world that we live in now is so fogged with realism. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just trying to, you know, have that clear picture. So go ahead and close this out, man.
Yeah, man. So thanks for everybody watching again. You know, this is part of the platform and part of what we want to do, man, is just talk about the uncomfortable truths about the reality that we live in, man, and just bring a different perspective to that in all aspects. It's not just about basketball. It's not just about this or that. It's about life. And this is one of those episodes where, you know, if you're tuned into this, we hope you got something from it. Whether you are in that situation or not, it's something you could take from this and apply it to your life and build upon, because that's what STAT is, and that's what Strive to Achieve Together means. Is we're taking our stories and we're being vulnerable and talking about them and bringing out the keys and the message in it so that we all can learn and grow from it. So again, if you got something from this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. We need 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal right now. So we're pushing to do that. We appreciate everybody for showing love. And again, thanks for tuning in to From the 7 podcast, man. It's Deuce and Stat. We'll catch y'all on the next one, man.
See y'all next week.
Working on a weekend like usual. Way off in the deep end like usual. Niggas swear they passed us, they doing too much. Haven't done my taxes.